Hey everybody, my name is Angie Moranga. You're watching Just Angie, where we have amazing conversations. And this next conversation, hey, fire is in the house. When I heard it first, I was like, oh my God, I have to bring it to my Just Angie followers. I just had to, and my Just Angie family. So I'm going to let the guest introduce himself. You've been here before though, Ernest.
Yes, I have.
But I think a lot has progressed since then, or you have grown.
Yes.
But please look into that camera, introduce yourself to my guest, and then we can have a conversation.
Yeah. Good day to you, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ernest Wamboye. I am a follower of Jesus Christ. I am a husband, been married for the past 12 years this year. I have 3 children, Tandy, Ivana, and Theo. That makes me a father. And I am the founder of a ministry called the Relationship Center that seeks to promote and defend biblical family values in our society.
That is so powerful and so needed, you know, biblical family values and in relationships, because with the subjects I want to talk about today, I heard you talking about it, but I wanted to introduce it, tell me why, but it's all part of the moving elements that make up family.
Yes.
And I think even why I've said you've grown, I don't know, we've all grown, because imagine the world has moved in the few years that since the last time I met you.
Yes.
I don't even understand. So much has happened.
Yes.
And so much is happening in relationships, in families. Me, there's so many moving parts sometimes, and I just want to give up. I'm like, let's just throw in the towel.
It's true. The world has changed.
It has changed, and not for the better.
Yes, for the worse. As we get to the end of the age. So one of the things that we do at the Relationship Center is that we run a pornography addiction recovery program.
Now that one is the one that shocked me. Pornography addiction recovery. Let me first read this. This statistic is what made me sit up. I was in church. But thank you, Mavuno, for bringing Ernest to, it must have been a conference.
It was Doha Fest.
Doha Fest. Because honestly, I left there saying, hiya. Like, this is how things are. Anyway, first, let me read for you. They say the stats on the adult entertainment industry. Today, it is said that this industry is worth over USD 100 billion. And I think they asked us, which industry do you think this is? Me, let me tell you, nothing could have prepared me for the answer. And it says that in context, if you place the revenue of TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram together, they would be about 74 billion. Kenya's GDP is about 113 billion, only marginally higher than this industry. And 2.5 million people visit the world's most popular porn sites every 60 seconds. 2.5 million people. Yeah. Every 60 seconds. Yeah. Also, the top 3 porn sites generate 135,000 visits every minute. Yeah. 35% of all internet downloads are porn related. Should I go to Kenya? Then you just continue, because now Kenya, I wanted to faint. Yeah. Kenya statistics, they're here. Yes. And this is the 80% Christian nation.
Kenya is a porn watching nation.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Kenyans watch porn.
You say that, I'm like, you can't say Ernest. But I know you've checked the statistics. Me now, over to you, and what are we going to do? So
in fact, just on Kenya, one time one of the leading porn websites released its statistics. They do this every year. So part of their CSR. They say, we're going to give you the stats so that you know what's going on.
In your country.
So they showed porn consumption from their website that whole year. And throughout, I mean, in all the nations of the earth, it was shown that more men than women consume porn. Okay.
Except
more men than women. In fact, the global average is about, for every 4 men that watch pornography, there's 1 man who consumes pornography. One woman who consumes pornography. So there were certain nations, however, where the gap was closing in, where the rate of men and women was the ratio was awfully close, and so they did a top 10 list of, who are these top 10 countries where there's an increasing number of female consumption of pornography, and Kenya was third on the list globally.
Number 3 globally.
It was.
I'm reminding ourselves, this is the 80%
Christian nation.
This is us. This is us. This is not anybody. That's why I said we have to have this conversation, because we should stop lying to ourselves. Yeah. Because who are those people? Yeah. They are here.
They're here. They're amongst us. They're in our churches. They're in our schools.
They're in our churches, schools.
They're our lecturers.
They're our friends.
Yeah.
They're your potential spouse.
Yes, it is. It's true. It's true. And so porn is a pandemic. Porn is a pandemic we don't talk about. And at any second of the day, you have about, or rather at any minute of the day, you have about 30 million people watching porn. So right now, globally, you can be guaranteed right now there are 30 million mobile devices, if not all mobile devices, phones, laptops, what? 30 million people are watching porn right now. Okay, and that 35% of internet downloads, I think, has even gone up to 40% of all internet downloads. It was, I think, sometime last year when it was shown that now, right now, more than half of all the internet content, more than half of it is now pornography. And we don't talk about it because there's shame, because there is embarrassment, because hide. It's addictive.
Yes.
And it's caught people. You can't see it on people's faces.
That's the thing, you can't see it. This is an addiction that you can't see.
Yeah.
How would you know somebody's watching porn? You wouldn't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but there are symptoms that you can tell. So, if you stay with someone long enough, you can tell something. Some of them are a bit. It's a bit hard to conclude and say for sure this person's watching porn. But the first thing, of course, would be excessive time on mobile devices, excessive time online. Weird surfing. Weird times when you're surfing the internet at night and all that. But if you're going through it, you start to see certain things, because porn is an addiction. Porn brings addiction. And one of the things that happens, so let me speak primarily for men, then I'll come to the women. Men have got a hormone called testosterone. Women are predominantly with estrogen, okay? And estrogen and testosterone are what makes us attracted to one another, people of the opposite sex. When you consume pornography, and when I say pornography, I don't just mean that X-rated site that you cannot go publicly. I'm also talking about the series, the movies that have got blatant nudity, okay? That counts as porn. Okay? Wow. Okay, because we don't like to call it porn because
it triggers something.
It does trigger. It is very
something.
Triggering.
It triggers something. Even if it's the most unexpected thing, but it triggers something.
Yeah. So when you watch that, so first of all, I think for both men and women, there's dopamine. Dopamine is a feel-good chemical. You feel good. Okay. There's a rush of excitement. If you've been brought up with a strong moral code, initially you'll feel diminished. You'll feel shame. You'll feel embarrassment. But it's been shown statistically that as men and women continue watching porn, those feelings of shame start to disappear. Wow. And it becomes normalized. But dopamine is produced as a feel-good chemical. It says, feels good. Let's watch this again. So it sets a reminder in your brain, tells you we must do this again.
This, yes.
Okay?
We need to release that chemical.
Yeah, so we need to release that chemical, a feel-good chemical. Now you see, the way our bodies were made, dopamine is meant to be healthily released through a reward cycle. Okay? So you work hard, you graduate, you work hard, you do your papers, you graduate. So the graduation is a day when dopamine is released. You know, you've worked hard for 4 years, so now you finally receive that. Okay? It's meant to be healthily released in reward. But when you watch pornography, there is no reward apart from the pleasure in and of itself of watching pornography. So what you do, you tamper with your brain. Excess dopamine is produced. And so because of that, you keep wanting a rush of that feeling.
More. And does it become higher?
Yeah.
Is the demand becoming higher as you release a lot of it?
Yeah. So I mean, the brain. So I'll give you the name of another chemical as I come down the list. So for men have got testosterone. Testosterone is what makes us attracted to women. You know, we see a woman dressed nicely. It's what makes heads turn. You know. You see a pretty face. You're like, oh, I want to say hi to her. So when you watch porn, you produce excess testosterone, and excess testosterone makes you hypersensitive sexually. And so you find that even women who are not sexually provocative or sexually appealing become a problem. You find that they become provocative to you. Even modestly dressed women who are dressed very modestly become a problem. And so at times you hear people say like, these women, is the way they're dressed. And many times when I hear men say that, I go like, there must be some porn being watched here. You know, of course, there are women who dress badly, but at times you look at a woman who's dressed modestly and go like, it's the way she's dressed. I'm thinking, no, she's actually fairly modestly dressed, but you're excessively triggered. And so because of that, you are constantly sensitive around people of the opposite sex. After that, there's a chemical called delta force B that's produced. Now, delta force B is a protein. It's called the addiction protein. The more you consume pornography, it is produced, and this is what it does. It sends compulsive messages to your brain. It tells your brain, let's do this now.
Wow.
Not again, like dopamine.
Now.
Dopamine is patient. Delta force B says now.
Now.
Okay? And so I need it now. And the message that it sends out is so strong that if you don't do it now, you get compulsive urges. So this also happens, like for example, with alcoholics. When alcoholics have that delta force B produced and they want a drink now and they can't get it, you find, for example, they start shaking. You know, those symptoms. So with a person who consumes pornography, you can't settle down until you watch something, you do something, and so it leads you down a path of perversion. Because let's say you can't get what you want. What do you do if there's someone in the room?
By force.
You force them.
Yes.
You start fooling around with them.
Yes.
So it starts to bring out an animal instinct in you that is not healthy. And so you get that compulsive syndrome, and you just want to watch it now. And once you watch it, you feel that relaxation. Now, this is the thing. If you keep watching it, delta force will be so produced in your brain that you cannot go a day without watching pornography. Yeah. And neurologists tell us, if you want to kill it, if you want to at least just get back to a normal state where you're not enslaved to this thing, you have to fast from the porn or the explicit entertainment for at least 8 weeks. Okay? 8 weeks. Just to clear the delta force B, not to get rid of the addiction, to just clear the delta force B. Okay? So what you do, let's say you say, you know what, I'm done, this porn is ruining my life, I'm objectifying women, you know, I'm doing what, I've got this dirty thoughts, I need to get rid of it. So you say, I'm going to go on a fast, you know, no more Netflix, no social media, no internet, no what, and you go clean week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, week 6, you're doing so well, week 7. Just when you're about to get to week 8, what happens? You get a forward from a friend of yours. Tells you, Ebu, check out this video. You know, and you can see this video, you can see there's some nudity, and you go like, I've been clean for 7 weeks. You click on it. The moment you click on it and you see new nudity, you know what happens? Fresh delta force B is produced.
Oh my God.
For those 7 weeks, the delta force B was very strong at the beginning, almost like a now. But with time, it goes like now it reduces. Its power diminishes. The moment you just watch that nudity again, fresh delta force B is produced and it goes back to its strength. Now. So you find you've been clean for 7 weeks and then you fall and you feel so defeated. You feel so discouraged. It's addictive. It's addictive. Porn reduces your financial success.
I was going to say how. You said that, but I want to know, how does it reduce your financial success? How is it affecting relationships?
Yeah, so let's start with financial success. So there's a part of your brain called the prefrontal cortex. Huh? So this is the part where if you stand at the edge of a cliff and you realize there's a huge descent, it tells you, watch out, and you take a step back, right? So it warns you of impending danger. When you're about to cross the road and you don't see that car coming, you wonder, how did I see it? You know, and you jump off, you're like, oh my goodness, I didn't see that car. Your prefrontal cortex warns you. And so you're able to make risk-free decisions because of that. When you consume porn, you wear out your prefrontal cortex.
Oh my God.
You wear it out. And so your capacity to make calculated moves is hampered. You can't make risk-free choices. And so you find students who are watching porn cannot calculate how they need to do their study times, their reading times. They can't balance their opportunities. They lose good relationships. You lose really, really good relationships. And so eventually, when you look at a person's productivity, if you're not productive, you can't be financially successful. Yes. And so it's almost impossible for people addicted to pornography to really thrive financially. It's difficult. And if they do, they're really holding back their potential. All right?
There's more that they could be doing.
There's more. Okay? Pornography in and of itself, just by consuming it, increases marital chances of adultery, chances of cheating on your partner go up by 300%. You're 300% more likely to cheat on your partner.
Why? Let me just think. Now, the logical thing is you have a partner. Mm-hmm. So you can execute all your desires with this partner. Why are you going out to look for somebody else? I'm just thinking.
So the problem is hyperrealism. Porn paints hyper-realistic pictures of men and women. The men and the women are either super toned. Yes. The images have been touched up, so it's hyper-realistic. They are ideal.
This one cannot satisfy. This one is not looking ideal.
Inevitably, you compare.
Yes.
Inevitably, you compare. You know, you look at what's on screen and you say,
and this one that's with
this
you,
is my.
You're like,
you're like, no. Mm-mm. You know, you look at the, you look at the reality screen. Oh, they had sex for oh my goodness, they went on for so long. And here you look at your partner and you go like, then what's wrong with us? You're comparing yourself to hyperrealism. Something that's not true. Inevitably,
that's not true.
It creates dissatisfaction. Yeah. And now for men specifically, because the more you watch porn, the more you masturbate, and the more you masturbate, and the more you release your semen out in the open, you start having premature ejaculation because you find you're easily triggered. It's very difficult to get you excited, and first of all, it's difficult to get you excited with a normal relationship because you're only excited by hyper-realistic.
Yes, that's what gets you excited.
Yeah, and when you are excited, you find it's difficult to sustain an erection. And so you find that you are constantly unable to satisfy your partner. So erectile dysfunction is caused. There's a lot of mistrust. Most people who have spouses who consume porn feel that it's just as bad as someone who has had an affair.
Yeah.
There's deep...
They feel like I've been cheated on. Something is wrong here.
There's something wrong. So you feel deeply betrayed. Deeply wounded. So there's no place on God's green earth where porn is a good thing. There's no place on it. There's no place. We have a premarital class that people ask us, oh, can we use porn to spice up our sex life?
That one I've heard. Good. Tell us the answer. They ask, can we use porn? I know the answer is no. Because you've already said it's creating a reality which is not real.
Yeah.
This is not real. They are camera. You have to remember, camera, lights, action here behind the scenes to produce this thing that they're showing you. There's a whole production team there going on.
It's true.
This is not real.
It's not real. And you know, and for the reasons that we've all mentioned, the addiction. And what someone think that if we watch the two of us, then somewhat we would be addicted.
They're not cheating.
No.
But one person could become, I think, more addicted than the other.
Yes.
You know, it will cause problems.
It will.
So do you tell them no?
Yeah, of course. Blatantly no. Blatantly no.
Wow.
And I think people ought to also know the evil that porn promotes.
Okay.
Porn promotes child trafficking.
It's true, because
child trafficking is heavily promoted by pornography.
Because there are people who want to see people having sex with children.
Yeah.
So they create those scenes. They have to steal the child, come and then create all that.
The leading cause of pedophilia is pornography. And so when you watch pornography, you are supporting an industry where children are raped, where children are trafficked, taken away from their mothers. Pornography promotes the sex trafficking industry for women. And you may be thinking, oh, but they've chosen that lifestyle. You will be shocked at many former porn stars. First of all, the average porn star retires at the age of 27.
Okay.
So at the age of 27, you're told you're a shush, leave.
Go.
We've got better young blood.
Wow.
So they're left out on the streets.
So they're looking for the young blood,
something else. And when you're there, what you don't know about these women, when you hear some of their testimonies, in order for them to keep performing, they are paid money, but they also paid drugs. And the drugs is to keep them enslaved so that they want more. And so they either use the money to buy drugs and they're dependent on the people, the pimps, or they use their money and then they run out of drugs that they need more. So there's a dependency that is created on them. So many of them leave the porn industry and they just go and their lives are wasted. Really, really
and that's
wasted.
What you're supporting.
You're supporting.
But let me ask you, Ernest, because for me, I think when you were speaking, and even when you're speaking now, I'm thinking about Kenya and Kenya statistics and how high up we are. I mean, we are globally ranked very high. That means it's a real situation. We can bury our head in the sand, but that's not true. It's a really high problem here in Kenya. Maybe talk to people about why first of all, they shouldn't encourage anyone to get into it. And then what else do we say? Because it's us who are 80%. Nyapa too is somebody you know who is consuming this porn. And even maybe how does it affect relationships? Because you do the relationship center. How is it affecting them?
Yeah. So one, in relationships, you must understand that porn makes the consumer be more tolerable of vices such as rape. In fact, there's a statistic that shows that people who consume porn are more tolerant of rape.
Yeah.
And
they won't even call it rape, I think.
Yeah. And so you hear them saying, girls like, what was she doing out at night at that time? You know, what was she wearing? Was she doing that? You see, those are attitudes that are tolerant towards rape. And when you watch pornography, you are more likely to be less sympathetic towards people who suffer gender-based violence. You tolerate that. And here in our Kenyan nation, where we say we are 80% Christian, we say we are born again. I think we are born again.
You didn't go there. You didn't say, well, we are porn again, not born again.
We are porn again.
They are going to come after us. But something is not. Because the statistics don't lie. Data does not lie. The numbers cannot lie.
The cases of defilement in Kenya are high. The cases of defilement are very, very high. And the cases
even the women, the way we were saying, Femi said, the way they were killing the women, that's probably the answer. Right there.
Porn is
the answer is porn.
That's it.
Porn is the answer. It has desensitized the man to that this is a woman, and even though you said it's objectified her, it's making excuses for her. That's probably why we were getting all these people killing these women.
It's true. It's true. So porn funds all that. If you're in a relationship, you can be sure that as a man, porn kills your masculinity. You cannot play the role of a man in a relationship if you objectify a woman, if you see her as less than. You cannot. It's impossible. It's impossible to love as Christ loved the church when you view this person as less than. It's totally impossible.
But you know, Ernest, I'm about to say something which is a bit controversial, but
yes.
I feel like that's the case. I don't know. Somebody posted something, I think, on social media. Because social media is where you go and you're like, wow. Somebody posted something they've done, I think, for their wife. We come and see Kenyans. Eh? Sometimes I feel like the men hate the women.
Yeah.
They say you can't do that for her. This is just a hole. So do you what?
Misogyny. Misogyny is funded by porn. Misogyny is funded by porn.
But it's good because I've been wondering, where is this coming from? You're giving me an answer. It's coming from porn.
And so then this neo-masculinity where we're told, you know what, men, you're the prize. You are this top guy.
The prize.
And the reason I'm speaking to the men primarily is because men are the most perpetrators as far as consumption of porn and its effects are concerned. So there's this idea of, you know what, you win, you take control, you are on top, you know, she gets pregnant, you leave her, your life, you choose. I mean, what type of masculinity is that? We are in the age of weak masculinity. We're in the age of masculinity that is weak. One very sad story is of a lady who came to see me, and she told me that she had an 11-month-old daughter. An 11-month-old daughter, she suffered a divorce, went back home to her parents, and so she was staying with her mom and her brother and her sister, and with her 11-month-old daughter. And then one day she had to go pick a package from the road. She went to pick it, and when she came, and so she asked her brother to watch over the daughter, and she went to the road, and when she came back, she found that the child was crying, you know, and looked around, found the child was alone, called the brother, hey, where are you? She was like, nimeenda, we're gonna take time. So she took the baby, you know, trying to comfort the baby, but the baby wasn't stopping to cry. So tried to breastfeed the baby doesn't want to breastfeed. Went to change the diaper, and the diaper was full of blood.
He had raped the baby.
Her private parts were disfigured. And the baby was crying, and the baby had to be taken to hospital for reconstructive surgery. And you know, the doctors told her, what happened to the baby? And she's like, I don't know. She told your baby was raped. And she calls the brother, and the brother is like, why don't you accuse Nini? And even before she said it, his defensiveness, she knew he had done something. So how does a 37-year-old man rape an 11-month-old baby? Your own flesh and blood. How do you do that? You do that when you're watching pornography. You do that when you're under the influence of something beyond you. Let me tell you this, okay? A real man controls his appetites. That's one of the hallmarks of masculinity.
But I think that the world doesn't sell us that. The world does not sell that a real man controls his appetites, even the sexual appetites. The world doesn't tell us that. That if there are women who have to sleep with a man to try to keep him. Because this one, if I don't sleep with him, he's going to go.
Yeah. So we move around his lack of control of his appetites. So the church is saying this. A real man controls his appetites. Okay? You won't hear it from the world, hear it from the church. A real man controls his appetites. A real man is able to temper his appetites, to say no. And so when I meet a woman, and a Christian woman, I meet Christian women, and they say, oh, I'm dating this guy, and you know, they claim to be both believers, and I ask them, are you waiting for sex until marriage? No. And the woman says no. And I say, all right, so this man, are you confident he's a protector, or he's a wonderful protector? I said, how can he be a protector and he can't protect you from himself?
Yes, he can't.
He can't protect you from himself. And so you cannot get into marriage with a confidence that this man will suddenly, at the snap of a battle, that when a ring comes onto his finger, he'll suddenly be Christ-like. It won't. So, and this is the thing about masculinity.
Christ-like before.
Yeah. You know, Angie, for women, it's like life forces you women to mature. So let me put it like this. You girls, by the time you get to class 5, your mother goes like, you're now a big girl, you should know how to cook some stew by now.
So wash your clothes, you take care of other people. Yeah.
Meanwhile, what are me and the other boys doing? We are playing, we are chilling. Cindy, we are playing PS, running around football. You're learning how to cook a meal. By the time a girl in our country is in class 6, she can make a meal for the whole family.
Yes.
So by the time she goes to high school, what happens, even before high school, she gets her menstrual flow. So she's forced to learn about her body. She's forced to understand and go like, this body, oh my goodness. You're told you can get pregnant. She's like, oh my goodness, I didn't know that. Be careful around boys, you know. A very early, way before the boys, her body begins to blossom, you know. She's having, her breasts, her thighs, and she's thinking, what's happening to me? Men are looking at me. She's being told by the teachers, your skirt is too short. Your neckline is too low. So she has to be very conscious. So because of that, she has to leave the house thinking. She has to think. She has to think what will happen. When she gets out to a matatu, there's someone who's trying to assault her, someone who's trying to pinch her. So she has to be careful. She has to be home on time because she could get molested. She has to think. So because of that, it's as if women are forced to mature. Now, when you look at the life of men grow, and by the time a woman is 19, I kid you not, that woman is ready to be a wife. A boy who's 19, the average boy who's 19 is a fool. He's a fool. And he's most likely, the most thing he's done is that he's found out his private parts work. And what is he trying to do? He's trying to insert it in another woman's private parts. If he gets her pregnant, he says, I'm 19, I'm too young to be a father. He jumps. When that woman gets pregnant at 19, okay, she has two options. If she aborts that baby, she has to live with that trauma of that abortion. She's forced to mature through the pain. If she does the right thing and keeps the baby, she has to be mature and be ready to be a mother. So you find that masculinity does not take a natural path. Femininity can almost take a natural path, and women can mature into the women we want them to be, but masculinity must be intentional.
So the men, now we have all this added problem. I don't know how you're going to solve the problem because the men, I don't see very many men mentoring other men. I feel like the whole world, if the solution of proper functioning fatherhood was solved globally, not in Kenya, it would solve everything. How are we going to get the men to become men?
It's not all doom and gloom. I think it does. But I think I would say personally, I have seen in the past 10 years, there's been, I feel like God has raised a remnant of male mentors around the world. I look around, let's just start internationally. I look at a man like Jordan B. Peterson, a man who's written the book 12 Rules for Life. That man has transformed the lives of so many young men. Yeah,
12 what?
Men. 12, he's written a book called 12 Rules for Life. Jordan B. Peterson, professor from Canada. Amazing. When you look around, you've got even here locally. I can't begin to tell you the number of churches where I've been to, where I've met thriving men's ministries. And personally, I felt like even as evil is increasing, the Lord is raising a standard of righteousness. So there is a remnant. So I want to say this, that there are men out there. There are men who are waking up. When we run our program, Powerhouse for the men come. And I like it that it's not just the men who are addicted. There are men who come and say, hey, Ernest, I'm a pastor, but I don't know how to help these men who are battling with this. And people sign up. And it's amazing. Last week, I was talking to a man who told me, Ernest, you took us through Powerhouse in 2017. Our group has consistently met for the past 8 years.
That is so good.
8 years. We've never stopped meeting. And he says, we've gotten married. We've stood in each other's lineups. You're hearing wonderful. So there is a remnant.
But what you're saying is they have to be intentional about it.
You have to be intentional.
So as a man, at whatever age you are, 18, 17, whatever you're listening to this, even older, just be intentional.
Yeah.
Go find somebody and get intentional help.
Say, teach me. Show me.
Show me.
Yeah.
That's very powerful.
Yeah.
Show me, teach me.
Yeah. And for the older men, we just have to reach out to the younger men and say, hey, come.
If you see them. Because you can see yourself.
Yeah.
Ever been on somewhere, then you can see yourself. You're like, this one now, this is the road.
And
pick them and
in fact, I challenge the men in church because you perhaps, let me say the men in church who are living according to what Christ asked us to live. Let me just ask you, sacrifice just one Sunday a month. Go to a boys' high school. Preach.
Ernest.
Go to a boys' high school.
Teach them.
Help those
Speak
boys.
to them.
Help them. Speak. So I'm saying this because last year, I was invited by a certain principal of a school to go to a boys' high school here in Nairobi. And she told me, what we're doing is that our service for chapel is normally 3 hours, but this is what we're doing. You're going to speak for 2 hours. Good. So you're going to speak to 2 hours to the boys. And says, and after that, we're going to have a break. And we have said preps is optional. Others can still remain if you want to keep on speaking. So come with a team of men. So I went, got the men from my church, told them, hey guys, it's a team of men. And we went there. We were about 4 men. We're like, okay, 4 men. We went. After I finished preaching, so the principal said, now just distribute yourself in the hall. If anyone wants to come to you to talk to you for counseling, one-on-one, pray with them. So we thought we'd have maybe like 10 people.
No.
We had 300 boys.
Yep. They have questions. They have questions that nobody is answering, or the internet is answering, or other people are answering, and it's still somehow, because I think we're very powerful spirits, that that's not the real answer. So they are looking for answers.
300 boys. I mean, I individually prayed for about 120 boys, one by one, listening to their stories. They were crying. 16-year-old boys crying and shaking. The common thing in all those boys that we met, because we sat down the 4 of us later and just says, what are you hearing? 90% of the problems, porn and masturbation. Secondly, 90% porn and masturbation. Secondly, fatherlessness. Fatherless homes are prime for the addiction of pornography. And so you find that many of them have been raised by absent mothers, by single mothers who have absent fathers. It's a pandemic. And let me tell you, Pastor Angie, we have not seen the explosion of the effect of porn in our nation. We've not seen it. Right now, we still have the senior bishops and pastors as those ones who are married, those ones leading churches. They will die. A new generation will come. The Mavunos, the Sitams, the chapels will have to be taken over by other pastors. And let me tell you, unfortunately, some of them are watching porn. I don't know where the nation will go to. And after that, there'll be another generation. The churches, the synagogues, the counseling centers will be taken over by other people. We need a remnant. We have to speak boldly against it. I get shocked.
That's why I wanted you to be here.
Yeah. So I get shocked at how bold evil speaks,
That's the thing. And light doesn't want to get bolder. And we're told that the darkness cannot comprehend the light. Yeah. But I find the light cowering. You see? Like somebody doesn't want to have the conversation on porn. Let's have the conversation. Yeah. I wanted you to answer something, which is very, I think, I keep saying controversial. Maybe it's me. You see, they say there's no masturbation, that there's no, in the Bible, there's nowhere it says, you know where I'm going.
Yeah, exactly.
These are the stories. There's nowhere in the Bible where it says you shouldn't masturbate. Tell us about masturbation.
All right. So I'll respond that with a clap back, then I'll give the biblical answer. So there's also nowhere in the Bible it says thou shalt not be a pedophile. Okay?
That's true. That's a good one. So there's nowhere it says that.
Yeah. So I'm saying this, you cannot read this text. If you want to read the Bible faithfully, you cannot read it and look for where it says do not.
But they want, you see, because we live in a world that wants to justify.
Yeah.
So if it does not explicitly say, then I have a problem. And people are masturbating.
Yeah.
So we need to understand what is the problem with masturbation.
So all the pornographers, masturbators, and all the pedophiles can justify themselves using the scripture for what it does not say. But what does the Bible say? What does it say? The Bible tells us 3 things about sexuality. Okay. Just 3 things.
Good.
That even a child can remember. Number 1, sex is a good thing.
Okay. In the context of marriage, I think. It says sex is a good thing.
Okay. Let's take it slowly.
Sex is a good
Number
thing.
1, it says sex is a good thing that was created by God.
Hallelujah.
It is God's creation. It's a good thing. It's not an evil thing. It is not the thing that Adam and Eve did for them to be kicked out of the garden. It is a good thing. Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth. How? Cell division? No. Through the beautiful act of sex. Okay. Secondly, the Bible says all sexual activity is meant to be between one man and one woman. And so you find that sex operates in duality. It functions in duality, never more, never less, never in individuality, never in plurality.
When you have
exactly. So when you have plurality, you've got polygamy. And yet the Bible clearly says in Deuteronomy 17:17, do not multiply wives. A command given to the kings of Israel, not to have more than one wife. Why? Because the king has more than one wife. People will say, if David has more than one wife,
even me, I can have.
Yeah. And if you look at all the times in scripture where people had plurality, okay, Ada and Zillah, the first women who are married to this man in Genesis chapter 5 was polygamous. Look at the chaos in that family. Look at Abraham. Look at Jacob. Look at all these things. There is never stability where there's plurality as far as sexuality is concerned.
Even what at Jacob, right now, 21st century, there is never stability. There's never. When they are 2, 3, 1.
And so that's where masturbation falls short, because masturbation falls short of God's ideal plan, where
you didn't say the third one.
I'm coming to it. I'm coming to it. So sex is for duality. So masturbation is individuality.
That's so true.
It is self-focused. So anything that is individuality, masturbation, sex toys, all these things, they all fall off of God's plan. Yes.
Okay, good for you. It's good. You are the right person.
They fall off.
To them. Maybe I just wonder, are you taking everything away?
Yeah, they fall off of God's ideal plan. The third one is that all sexual activity is meant to be with within the covenant of marriage.
Yes.
Okay. And what is a covenant? A covenant is a relationship, okay, an agreement between two people where I promise to serve my end of the bargain, period. And the other person promises to serve their end of the bargain, period. It's a covenant, not a contract. In a contract, I look out for your interest. You serve your end of the bargain. And so in a contract, you go look for what can you do for me? What can you do for me? And if you stop doing for me, like,
so good.
I'm out.
I'm out.
But if I say, what can I do for you?
Yeah.
I live in accordance to Mark 10:45 that says, for even the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life as a ransom for many.
That's amazing.
If Christ treated his relationship with us like a contract and not like a covenant, he would have said, like, why should I die for them?
Yeah, what's in it for me?
Give me 5 reasons.
Give me 5 reasons why you should die.
But he did it anyway. And a marriage thrives when you've got two people serving one another.
That's so amazing.
Dr. Jimmy even says, you are happiest in marriage when you're serving. You are unhappiest in marriage when you're waiting to be served.
But people want to be served.
Yeah.
Always.
So we have to even change how we teach about marriage. We have to make marriage gospel-centered. Show how the gospel works. Show how Christ, the groom, dies for the church, his bride. See how he unconditionally, how he gives himself fully, and how when the church does the same thing, there's a wonderful union. Wow. But when it is one-sided, when you have the church constantly saying, what can you do for me? What can you do for me? Then we spread into all those sorts of things, shakaolas, all this, prosperity theology, all those. We do into all those things. We deviate. And so that's the threefold plan of God concerning sexuality. Very easy. And if you fall off of that in any way, then you just know I'm outside of God's plan. I'm outside of God's plan. This is not what the Bible teaches concerning sexuality.
That's amazing. Please tell us a little bit about your courses as you come to an, because we could talk for it, but you have to come back. But I have to go back now, do some more research, then you come back. We're going to talk about these things. I want to talk about things that people don't want to talk about, but they're happening. So just tell us a little bit about your courses. Like, first of all, if I'm in if I'm not in a relationship, do I have to be in a relationship to do your courses?
No.
That's a good one.
So it depends. So one, and let me start by saying that I passionately started this teaching because I personally struggled with pornography.
Yes, you said so.
I personally struggled with I had to go through a healing process. And so when I came out, I was shocked at the number of people who would come to me for healing when I shared with them my victory story. So we have Powerhouse. Okay, and Girl Power. Powerhouse is for the men, Girl Power is for the women. So my wife teaches Girl Power, I teach Powerhouse, and we've got some joint classes, and we basically help men and women express their sexuality purely, live their lives purposefully, and love people of the opposite sex passionately. That's what we want to teach.
So you want to express your sexuality before?
No.
When you're married?
No, express the sexuality purely. Purely. So purely, that implies we are waiting for marriage.
Okay.
Purely.
I was wondering whether we are expressing.
No, purely. Want to do it purely. So it means we are waiting if you're not married. Okay. Then pursue your purpose passionately, because the one of the things that most people don't realize is that, sexual sin just distracts you from a life of purpose.
It's true. And people who are really in purpose, who has time for all that drama? If you're following what you're supposed to be doing and focus.
There's so much to do.
Idle time, idle minds. I don't sit and think, I have too much to do.
There's so much to do. And that's the response that Joseph gave Potiphar's wife. He says in Genesis 39 verse 8, I have so much work in this house to do.
I know.
No one has. I have authority in this house over everything except you. How can I do this?
How can I do this?
I'm busy. So we want
focus,
to get
purposeful.
You've got gifts, you've got abilities, you've got a world to travel. There's politics to learn, there's music to make, there's art to create, there are videos to be made. You are being distracted by this boyfriend. Achana nae.
You just roll your eyes.
Yes. End it. Mpige, mwambie it's over.
Tell him it's over. Delete the number.
Akisema tumetoka mbali, mwambie tumefika. We've arrived. So that, and then now we've got other courses that are not necessarily tied to that. We've got a premarital class. We've got there are ministries that are podcast, a blog, the Relationship Center podcast, and we also have a board game called Logos.
That one I bought it. I bought it, but I still haven't looked at it. But I bought it.
Yeah,
that's a really good game. Yeah. So Powerhouse is ideally to men who want to intentionally be men. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
And Girl Power is for
the women who want to learn biblical femininity.
I love it. Yeah. Biblical femininity. Oh. Yeah. What? Mumesikia. Musituambie kuna shida. Give them a parting shot, Ernest. And thank you so much. And we have to have you again because I feel like we haven't unpacked so much. You know, maybe your wife needs to come as well.
Yeah.
We just need to unpack a lot more. But I think for me, my greatest takeout is be intentional. Like, this is not going to just happen. The world is out there, the porn is out there, but there has to be intentionality. Like, even for me these days, when I put on, like, now Netflix, hey, what's the Netflix? Hey, you know, I'm supposed to mention brands here. When it just says the line there, I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And it looks like a really good movie, but done. Can't watch it. I don't want.
Yeah.
I don't want drama, you know. And they spoiled some of my series. Some series were going so well.
Until
then they introduced two gay guys. I'm like, okay, we were on a story, like, two important men. They're like, huh?
Yeah.
Wait, what? I have no words.
Yeah.
Please speak there. But so being intentional, I think.
Yeah. Part in short, I'll just say this. Sexual sin comes with shame. And the shame can overwhelm you. But you need to understand this, that the light shines in the darkness and the darkness flees. And so find a place to confess, be free. You choose your deliverance over your dignity, and you will be free.
Hey, Ernest, have you written a book? Actually, you choose your peace. Wait first, after a moment is that you choose your deliverance
over your dignity.
Over your dignity.
Yeah.
Because we choose dignity.
Yeah.
Over I have this problem.
I choose dignity over my deliverance, and I lose both. But if you choose your deliverance over your dignity, you lose your dignity for a moment, but eventually you'll gain both your deliverance and your dignity.
This is too powerful, Ernest. Thank you so much.
Amen.
Have you written books?
Yes. Last in the City, available for free. Go to www.penstrokes.co.ke. You can find our book, Last in the City, a guide on sexual purity, available for free for download on PDF. Holy Joe, a pocket handbook on sexual purity, going for about 150 shillings. Get it from our website as well. And then if you're interested in setting the right foundations for marriage, we've got a book called Basics that will help you marry well. Yeah.
Me, I don't know. It's like I can't end it. I'm about to end it. But please, people, mumeskia. Have you heard? With your 2 years, you need to pinch your ear like this and say, mumeskia. So that you don't say, because we say, oh, we don't know what to do. Yeah, now you know what to do. And forward this video, send it to everyone, so that we start getting on the right footing concerning this. And I think as parents, you'll have to come and tell us, as parents, what do people tell their children? Yes. How do they watch out for the signs? So we have to have you back, because we have to talk about, because some of us don't even know. You know, our children are doing stuff. There's one day I was in a bookshop, and the guy started summoning me when he heard I'm a pastor. I'm like, wow. He said, nini watoto wanakuja kwa hii duka wananunua vitabu about Satanism. You are not talking to the parents. The child becomes quieter, because we see the child becoming quieter and quieter. And sometimes as parents, we just want the child to be quiet. So what if they're quiet, consuming porn? Yeah. What if they're in their room, consuming porn? We need you back, Ernest, so that we know how to parent these children and the signs to watch out for. And I hope schools, universities, churches, you need to invite Ernest to come and speak. Let's not bury our head in the sand. We've got a real problem here, like you say. It's a pandemic. God bless. Bye-bye.